I can't seem to shift this cough. Honestly, it's really doing my head in. Oh, I don't know. Right, where's my water? Because I want to need it for this episode. Back to another episode here on the Moore Army podcast. This is episode 4 of the unleashed version of the podcast. You haven't checked out last Tuesday's episode, go and check it out. It's available on Spotify, Apple Music, and also on YouTube, and wherever else you can find all your good podcasts. It's been a rough few days, guys. Now, as you all know, a couple of weeks ago when I first started this podcast, I had a bit of a cold, went away, and then I come back, and these last 2 days I've had this tickly cough that just doesn't seem to be shifting itself. It's really starting to piss me off now, so it is. So I've came prepared today for the podcast. I've sat down here this morning. Honestly, this last 2 days, between coughing my guts up, trying to do interviews for football, my football job, and not being given access to the interviews for the podcast for this week, it's been really one of those last 2 days where I just wish I could push the rewind button and go back a few days, honestly. Anyway, guys, welcome back to the Moore Army podcast for another week. Before we continue on with this podcast, let's get what I like to call the housekeeping done. If you're listening to us for the first time here on whatever platform you're listening to us on as well, don't forget to check out our website, which is moorearmy.co.uk, for all your merch, previous videos from our YouTube channel, which is the Moore Army YouTube channel, which got us all started here over 6.5 years ago. Don't forget to check out the videos from Red End Football Ventures, Lewis's channel, and more. All our social media posts are on there too as well, photographs, etc. That's moorearmy.co.uk. It's been a bit of a work in progress with that over the last week or so. So we're trying to get more merch out for the winter, because the winter is literally at our doorstep. Whence we're talking about today, about the cost of living crisis here in the UK and worldwide. But yes, guys, moorearmy.co.uk. You want to get in touch with me on social media, you can by Instagram, official Matthew Moore, or if you want to check out our Facebook page, Moore Army YouTube channel, and drop a like on the Facebook page, I really would appreciate it. Anyway, guys, yes, we're now back for another podcast. This honestly, I'm recording this on Thursday morning, hoping to sit down today with a couple of interviews from the general public and obviously business owners from a local shopping centre where I currently live nearby. I went over yesterday to try and speak to management, which was unavailable because you have to get permission to go into the stores or even stop people in the mall. You have to get permission. Hence how I know that there is, because I done stuff in old shopping centres here in my town years ago with events and stuff like that, and you do have to get permission from the management before you can just parade yourself through a mall or a store with a microphone in your hand. Sorry, just take a drink here before I continue on with this throat of mine. Yeah, you have to get permission before you can walk into stores or walk through their mall. Unfortunately, the management wasn't available. I called over later on that day. They still weren't available. And then I called over this morning to see if I could maybe speak to a couple of shop owners. And again, still not available. So what I'm going to do is, guys, I'm going to complete this mission. This mission will be completed. Trust me, I'm going to do everything in my power to do it. So over the next day or two, I'm going to be heading out. I'm going to try my best to get at least 4 or 5 people on the podcast here to talk. Because I have promised you with the interviews with the public and obviously businesses about this whole cost of living crisis, which I'm going to get into in just a moment. But yes, what a last 2 or 3 days. This cough is really starting to piss me off. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. He was like, "Are you sure you don't have COVID, Matthew?" And I'm like, "Hell no, I don't have COVID. Not a chance." You know. I had a tickly cough, went away, came back, and it's just starting to really, 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 really piss me off. So I'm hoping over the next day or two, because I've got some cough medicine there this morning when I was out. So hopefully this clears it up. I mean, cold-wise and stuff like that, I feel great. I feel physically okay. It's just this tickly cough doesn't seem to decide to take itself away. I don't know. Insane. But anyway, yes. What have we got on the podcast today? Well, I was at football the other night doing a couple of interviews, which turned out very, very good. Apart from my son acting a twit when I was trying to interview one of the players. He was behind the camera with one of the goalkeepers and another player trying to distract the player from his interview. Oh, he's a nightmare, so he is, Lewis. He's just, he's becoming a right wee character. The thing I wanted to bring up, especially with it being on the Unleashed podcast here, guys, I've had a couple of these coming into me over the last 2 or 3 weeks of the podcast. Could I put it in the category of, complaining, being a troll, because some of the messages I have received, here's the thing, and I'm gonna be blunt with you here. People are saying, I've had a couple, which I like to call snowflakes. By the way, I don't hold back on the Unleashed podcast. People have come in and said they're going to. They said that they don't like the Unleashed podcast because apparently I swear in it. Okay, here's the thing. Why do you think it's called Unleashed in the first place? Okay? People said, some person actually went to the length of saying that they're going to try and get my podcast taken down. Like, really? 4 episodes into Unleashed, 4 episodes into the family-friendly one, and you're going to try and get us shut down? Really? Do you have a life? Like, really? It's unreal. So, I want to clear a thing up here. This is the Unleashed podcast where I can say and do as I please. Now, if you don't like, I even put a disclaimer on the video when I posted on YouTube, which you can subscribe to the channel if you're listening to us right now. This contains strong language. And at the end of the day, if you don't like strong language, if you're easily offended, if you're a snowflake, don't listen. I tell everybody this all the time on my YouTube channel. If you don't like our videos, switch off, go away and watch something else that suits you, what you want to watch. Why take time out of your day to go and try and bombard a person or troll someone that you don't like? Switch off. It's like a TV channel. Pick up the remote and turn it off. But that one email I got the other day, I want to do everything in my power to take you down because your podcast is disgusting. Really? In fact, I'm going to rephrase that. Fucking really? There you go. I swore the first F-bomb of the podcast. You're going to shut me down? I'd love to see you try it. Go ahead. I encourage trolls. Now, I've had a couple coming in saying, why do you say the F-bomb so much now? Guys, I'm just being me. But here's the thing. With our YouTube channel, right, at the very start, we'll say swear words and things like that. That's fine. But then YouTube brought all these new standards and practices. I call it the snowflake rules. The rules for the easily offended. Where bad language is being sort of cut down and you can't say certain things. And especially during the COVID pandemic, you couldn't say the word, you couldn't talk about COVID, you couldn't do nothing. And people always ask me, why didn't you ever talk about COVID on your channel? Because at the end of the day, I don't want all my hard work of all my thousands of videos being taken down over some wee asswipe who's sitting in some room or his mum's basement playing on his computer going, oh my god, he offended me, I want to shut the channel down, report. No, why should I do that? Why should I give them the satisfaction out of that? So I just wanted to clear that up today, guys. This is the Unleashed podcast. At the end of the day, I can say whatever I want on this. I could sit here and use every other word, F-bomb this and SOB and use the C word and all that there. I swear when I feel it's irrelevant to swear. I'm being me on this. And if people don't like the Unleashed podcast, you know what my answer is going to be? It's my answer to everybody. If you meet me in person, you're told swiftly where to go. But anyway, I just wanted to clear that up because at the end of the day, this podcast is for my listeners and for my viewers of my YouTube channel and beyond. And I'm going to tell you something now that's actually really, really, really made me smile. And I'm going to actually post a screenshot of the email that I received yesterday. Now, we're only on the air 4 weeks, okay? 4 weeks we're on the air. And our podcast, right? Excuse me. I want to phrase this correctly before I say something and then I put it online and then someone goes, oh, but you said on the podcast something different to what you put on the actual post. You're lying. Shut down. Close down. Okay. Whatever. We have been, in fact, what I'll do is, before I say anything to keep myself politically correct, I'll bring up the email and read it out to you. So, well, we got the email through about our stats on the last 30 days on Apple Music, okay? And this really made me smile. So it did. This actually really made me smile. It says here, hello there, hope all's going well. I have some cool information you might be interested in about your podcast. Your podcast, Mirror Army Podcast, has good performance in Apple Podcast rankings in the last 30 days. Now, this is in Ireland, first of all. We are overall positioned in the personal podcasts and journals, number 62 in the whole of Ireland. I don't know how many podcasts are in Ireland, but for the first 4 weeks, I actually think that's quite good. And for the same, overall in the whole of the UK, in the last 30 days, we are positioned 114 in the whole of the UK. That's the stats that were sent through to us. Now, after 4 weeks, you think about all them podcasts all across the UK. And we're ranked 114 in the category of personal journals and personal podcasts. So for someone to say that they're going to take us down and say that I swear too much, air quotes by the way, as I'm saying that, yeah, if you don't like us, turn us fucking off. That's just being simple. So there you go. If you're listening way off and listen to, I don't know, Classic FM or something, or some other boring radio station that doesn't exist. This is just a guy sitting at home with podcast gear talking about the world, talking about himself, talking about different things, and people are saying, already, like 4 weeks into it, like only 4 weeks and people are trying to shut us down. So I just thought I'd clear that up before I continue on today. So if you don't like this show and you don't like my YouTube channel, I keep telling you 100,000 times, the amount of people I've even blocked on social media because of it all, just don't watch. Go and watch something out. Go and watch, I don't know, the grass grow in the back garden or something. Seriously? Get yourself a life. Anyway, moving on. What a last couple of days it's been. Especially last night. Now, I'm going to touch on this before I get into the main topic of today's podcast, the cost of living crisis, which for a lot of people is very frustrating, and hence for some of the emails that I've got set up for listening to today or read out today. Yeah, last night Lewis and I were watching the Liverpool game. Now, you all out there know of it. If you don't like football, fast forward this part of the podcast or whatever. I was at Anfield last week, as you all know, for the Liverpool Rangers game, which was a fantastic night. Great atmosphere. Met a load of Rangers fans over there. Met a lot of friends over there who are Rangers and Liverpool fans. Big shout out to them all. Fair play to you for travelling over. The return fixture was last night at Ibrox. Fantastic atmosphere as expected. I didn't expect the result the way it turned out, but hold on. As I take a swig of water again, I might take a few pauses, guys, to this podcast because this throat of mine, it's not sore, it's just really tickly and annoying. Anyway, yes, last night, Rangers won, Liverpool 7. Like, what? Like, okay, win 2 or 3-0, like, seriously, but 7-1. And the most baffling part was, if you haven't watched our live reaction video on Redmen Football Ventures or on the Mirror Army YouTube channel, like, Mo Salah come off the bench and scored a hat-trick inside 6 minutes. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this guy is just, like, insane. From a guy, okay, people are talking to me this morning on social saying, it's only Rangers you beat last night, you know, you're playing Man City on Sunday. You know, Salah is going to go back to his usual self. But it's a performance like that that boosts your confidence and gets you going again. But like, fuck me, 7-1, and it's just insane. And even mate Lewis and I were watching the game going, what is going on here? And I rephrased it when he scored his hat-trick. That's just dirty. Wrong. Like, seriously, 7-1. But, I mean, when he beat them 2-0 at home last week, and the fact that we stuffed them 7-1 at Ibrox was a bit, wow. If you've watched the live reaction video, you'll see Lewis and I's reactions, like, what the hell is going on here, like? But I just wanted to talk about that briefly. I mean, 7-1, 3 goals in 6 minutes. Wow. Insanity. So it was insane. But hey-ho. But, yes, let's get on to the main topic of discussion today. As I take another drink of water here. Honest to God, I think before the end of this podcast, because we'll be talking constantly, my throat's going to be killing me. But it's not sore, it's just really tickly. Cost of living crisis. Like, what is going on? Like, seriously? I wanted this segment of the podcast to be a lot better, obviously, with interviews from the public and stuff. But as I said to you, I will promise you, I will be out there like a man on a mission to get interviews with people, whether it be a shop owner. The reason why I want to talk about the shop owners is because, obviously, you know, people are trying to script and save their money, and they're not obviously spending as much money as what they used to, especially with Christmas just being around the corner as well. And I wanted to obviously talk about the shop owners and managers and stuff like that, and staff, about, you know, the footfall of the shop, what's their overall, you know, performance like at the minute since the cost of living crisis first came, obviously hit us. So I want to talk to them, and I obviously want to talk to the general public. But I will have interviews, guys. Oh, believe me, I will. I'm on a mission. So I am, and even if I don't get permission to go to that supermarket, there is another one nearby. Plus, with me being in Belfast all the time, there's supermarkets and shopping centres nearby where I go to on a Saturday for football, so I can go to other places too. You know what I mean? So I am on a mission. I will promise you, I will get you interviews for this podcast, because when I used to work on local radio years ago, it was the same. You know, I went out in the general public, even every Sunday during the summer. I used to go to open house music festivals and interview all the artists and stuff. Like I said to you the other day, I've contacted that big venue that's just opened up in town here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around social media and check out all the local bars and performers and stuff like that there for live bands and sets and stuff. I'm going to go down and speak to people to try and get more people involved in this podcast, because that is a goal, is to obviously grow the podcast. I mean, obviously I want to speak here as well, but it's nice to have a wee guest now and again, you know what I mean? Just to sort of keep it a bit more, keep it fresh and entertaining, instead of having to listen to my boring ass for an hour or so every week. But anyway, cost of living. Where are we right now? Like, seriously, I mean, I've seen a bit of a difference in it lately, especially with the likes of, you know, gas prices and oil prices and electricity prices, and, you know, it's worrying, because, I mean, I don't even know why I mentioned this before in the podcast, but people say what's causing it. Is it the war in Ukraine? Is it because of what the damage COVID was caused? COVID done and things like that? You know, I remember standing, I think I said this before, guys, or sitting down, in my back garden at the time, whenever mum and dad were socially distant visiting, which I thought was the biggest pile of bullshit ever created. Like, we're all sitting in the garden, all separated from each other and stuff. You couldn't even hug your fucking parents, which really, to this day, still bothered me. I mean, that's months out of me and my children's life we'll never get back again, thanks to all those fucking balloon heads you see on TV. Next slide, please. Oh, we have to stay at home. Stay at home, but go out. Stay away from your friends, but meet your friends. Eat out to help out, but stay at home. Yeah, okay, fine. Some interesting things coming out of that this week as well, especially with the vaccine as well. That'll be a discussion for another day, guys. Which some things are starting to come out now that I've sort of predicted at the very start, but nobody ever listened to me, but that's just the way it was. But yes, going back to what I was telling you, I remember sitting there, you know, talking to mum and dad that day, and I says, Mum, seeing this is all over, where do you see the prices of stuff going up through the roof? Because the governments are out there giving out furlough payments, and people are staying at home, and the government's like, what was it, £500 billion or something in the UK here they put out for business payments and furlough and, you know, all these different things. I said, well, you see, this is how they'll make their money back. You watch. Prices will go up, whether it be food, you know, it'll be the cost of like gas, petrol, you know, electricity, all these things. And all these people that they've paid money out to, this is just my opinion, by the way, the government will make their money back. They will. They have to. And then all of a sudden the war in Ukraine came around, and then now they were blaming Russians, and then all this crap was coming along. And then all of a sudden, at our doorstep, here comes the price of gas going up through the roof. Oil. I actually feel sorry for people who have oil heating, by the way. I read something yesterday that really pissed me off about oil customers. Yes, and then the price of petrol and diesel. Jesus Christ, it went through the fucking roof. Like, seriously? Like, the price of a litre of petrol? Now, it is starting to drop a little bit now, but fucking hell, man, the prices were scandalous. And then whenever one petrol station dropped it a little bit, everybody was parading to this petrol station just to get some cheaper petrol. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous, the prices that they've put up. And energy companies are just, they are making so much money out of this. But again, you know, who's to blame? I mean, who do you blame for the prices of rising so much? You know, and even the cost of living in general. I mean, I've noticed as well lately being out shopping, the cost of general stuff has went up as well. Like in the supermarket, things that you see on the shelf. You know, even the price of milk and bread and all your usual stuff that you need in your house every day, the prices are rising. And it's insane. You know, and who is to blame? Is it the government? Who would you personally point the finger at? You know, and as I said to you there about the prices of gas and oil, I mean, I saw a thing the other day. I mean, in Northern Ireland here, they've done a thing there a few months ago where if you were on benefits and things like that there, you got a payment of, I don't know what it was, £300 or something people got. And that was for the cost of living and gas now. But then I saw a thing here yesterday, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, now my very first house I ever bought. Now when I first moved out of my mum and dad's house, one second, I rented a property, which actually lived not too far from where I live nowadays. And then the first house I bought after that, my very first official house that I owned, was oil heating. And I thought to myself, okay, fair enough, it's oil heating. Maybe one day I'll change it to gas. But the oil back then, I mean, I bought my first house in 2005. Yeah. I bought my first house, and it was just before Brooke was born. And I look back at prices. I mean, I'm one of these ones that keeps, you know, certain things in record for to look back at and keep yourself right and evidence and things like that. There are certain things in your life, you know, and obviously keeping the essential stuff like passports, birth certificates. I have a folder in my house that I keep all essential documents, you know, throughout the years. And I look back and I still have some copies of my old mortgage papers and stuff like that there that I managed to obtain copies of whenever, you know, my marriage ended and stuff like that. And I would look back at some of the price of the house, the mortgage payment back then, and, you know, I'm like, wow. I mean, if I had the way my mortgage worked out now is if I'd have been still living there, that house would have been mine in like 3 years' time. That house would have been mine. Bought outright. My first house cost me £60,000, which was an absolute bargain considering what type of house it was. And then I put 30 grand into the house, and we sold the house for about £135,000 2 years later, which I never wanted to do, but that's another story for another day. But the point is, looking back at the cost of living then compared to the cost of living now, Jesus Christ, the jump is just unreal. Oil heating. Yes, the main point is oil heating. Oil heating back then was okay for price-wise, but then I saw this thing the other day. Yes, people who have oil heating in their house, we are going to be given, I think it's people on benefits again, not honestly sure, £100 to go towards their oil heating. £100. £100 wouldn't even scrape the bottom of your fucking barrel now, to be honest. The price, I was talking to Mum the other day, who was it she was speaking to? Her sister. Is it £200 or something for so many litres, which wouldn't even scrape the bottom of your barrel? And the government's like, yeah, freeze your ass off here, there's £100. Like, what's £100 now for oil prices now? Nothing. And I wonder why people are not switching their heating on. Give you another example. I was out the other day with with Tony, and we called into a local storage so I could top up my gas meter. I have a pay-as-you-go meter, by the way. And I'm talking to this lovely wee lady. In fact, do you know something? I would love to go around and speak to her and interview her, because the conversation me and her had was actually really, really good. Do you know that wee woman? I think she said to me her hubby works away from home. She told me she refuses to put her heating on. And I looked at her and went, you refuse to put your heating on? Because I just mentioned to her, oh, the cost of gas units now is ridiculous and all. And she went, oh, don't even tell me about that. And I went, okay, just striking up a conversation. And she said she refused to put the heating on. She'd rather sit with a blanket on because of the cost of living. And I said to her, do you realise it's October now? Like November, December this year, apparently is forecast for really, 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 really cold weather. And she said, I only put the heating on maybe once or twice a week because I can't afford it. And I looked at her and I went, but you work in here? And she goes, I work in here 25 hours a week. Now, she was an older lady. I'd say she's probably late 50s maybe. Could be wrong. She's maybe a bit older, but then again, people who look 50 and 60 nowadays don't look 50 and 60. But yeah, it was just the conversation we had that she refused to put her heating on because she can't afford it, even though she's working and her husband works as well. Now, if it's like that for her, what's it like for people out there who legitimately are broke? Like, say you're a single man or a single woman, unemployed, living in a cold flat with no money and you're on benefits. Like, how are you supposed to survive? Like, I was thinking back the other day, whenever my marriage broke up, I ended up living with my brother Tony for a little bit, and then eventually I got a flat. And in my flat, I had the person who lived there before me was a bit of an alcoholic and took drugs and things like that. So the flat that we got, it was a good structure to it, but it needed a lot of work to it. So it needed to be painted, it needed to be cleaned out, and I done all that over a period of two or 3 months. Myself, Dad, and Tony ripped it apart and ripped it right down to the bare bones, got all repainted, new carpets, just basic stuff, nice, fresh and clean. But the only one thing they never had in that flat was proper heating. Every other flat in the block had gas. I had economy. Remember economy 7 heaters, which is basically, anybody who doesn't know what that is like an electric heater, which cost an absolute fucking fortune to run. Back then, when I lived in, what was it, 2013, I got my flat. Late 2013. I had to use I ended up sometimes having to use halogen heaters. You know the ones you get in the likes of a supermarket or the likes of a BM Bargains or a Home Bargains or things like that, the one you just plug into the wall and it's a wee halogen heater and it heats up. I had to use those in my rooms because the economy 7 heating was too expensive to run. Now, that was back then. Could you imagine with the electric prices and the gas prices today, what the fuck those will cost now to run those heating now? And for people who have those heating systems in their flats or houses now this day, I feel so sorry for them because it was very rare I could put those on because they ate my electricity so much. That was then. That was 9 years ago compared to now, with the prices being through the fucking roof. Could you imagine what the price would be today? Unreal. It's just baffling. But that going back to this bit, that wee lady, you know, she refuses to put her heating on. And then the government, as I said to you there, just turned around and said, oh, £100 to do your oil. What do you scrape the bottom of your bar? All these people taking the piss. Do these people not understand that people are struggling? Now, me personally now, I have a gas heated home. We're quite lucky. When we moved into our home, we're the only people that has actually ever lived in this house. This house was built, and then we were the first people to move in. So we're quite lucky, in a way, because when this is one of these new eco-friendly, you know, solar panels on the roof, fucking rainwater to flush your toilet, you know, all these new wee gadgets around the house. Apart from some of the gadgets around the house that make me laugh, like for example, the switch for a stair lift in your living room. Really? And in my bedroom, I used to get the piss taken out of me all this time. On my wall, my bedroom, at the very top behind the door, there's a switch for a hoist. What are you trying to say? I'm old? It was so funny because when I was with Sandra at the time, she used to take the piss and all and go, want your hoist to get out of bed in the mornings? I get your bed to get because you're getting old now. I was like, you're funny. But anyway, overall, like £100 for the heat your oil in your house is ridiculous. And these government people, and then I was listening to the radio there a few weeks ago, and they were saying apparently in November people are going to all homes, not just people on benefits, all homes. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, all homes, what about all these people who have thousands to play with and have loads of money? They're all getting £300 apparently each, so we're all getting £300 to do this for the winter payments. But then when you top up your gas, £20 of gas only gets you like, 13 units? And if you think about it, right, if you're living in a 2 or 3 story high house, and you have to heat your entire house with that, that won't even heat half your house. So that £300 they're giving us is going to be gone in no time. And another thing it was brought up, I've seen it, now I don't watch the news that often because of the bullshit that they post. I saw a thing on, I was just flicking through the channels there last week, and they were saying about the benefit price. People who are on benefits should have more money because of the cost of living. Which I kind of agree, yeah, but then at the end of the day, there's people out there who choose not to work, who know how to buck the system, who live a very comfortable life even though they don't even work or have never worked a day of their life. But then there's people out there who struggle. You know, guys, I've been on benefits once in my life, and it was whenever my marriage ended, and I tell you what, I struggled. Because whenever I first got custody of Brooke and Lewis, I mean, I was living on like £140 every 2 weeks, and that was to feed me and my 2 kids. And that was tough. Living in that wee flat before we got this house, that was fucking tough. And I would hate to think what it'd be like now. But I mean, I agree to a way that people should be given more, obviously, for the cost of living. And I heard people talking on that fucking clown Stephen Nolan show recently saying, he came in and said, benefits should be means tested whether you get more money or not. Would you agree with that? With people's circumstances and stuff like that there, what their circumstances is, what their overall benefit income is at the time, should they be entitled to more money? Again, it's all these questions you need to ask about this cost of living, which is ridiculous. I've noticed a bit of a difference when I put in the top of my gas. Electricity especially too. You know, but again, we're God sent it. We're kind of blessed because we have solar panels on the roof. Now, they don't make a massive difference, but they're a little bit of a difference. Because the way our house is facing towards the sun always hits them during the day, which is good. So we save a few quid, which is not too bad. But again, you think about it. I'm a father with 2 kids. You think about those families who have 2 and 3 kids, mums and dads, and say a wee granny or something lives with them too as well. Their washing machine like mine's going every day. Computer consoles, TVs, tumble dryers, all these different things that are going. Lights, the cost of living is just ridiculous now, and the prices for the electricity and the gas and overall, I could sit here all day and bring up certain things and talk about it and let me hear what you think about it, and all these different things that he said, she said, politicians said. It needs to be sorted now, because for the people who legitimately are struggling, it is going to affect them more because of the price. But I always remember that conversation that we did the other day. She wouldn't put her heating on. I'm not bullshitting you, I'm telling you the truth. It's a bullshit, it's true. And I remember coming out and saying, because she served Tony after me, and I goes, I mean, he just told me Tony just didn't put her heating on. And Tony looked at me and went, what? I mean, I don't know. Because she refuses to pay for cost of living, she puts her heating on maybe once or twice a week. Because the prices are scandalous. And he went, fuck me. Now, yeah, it really isn't that there. Now, when it comes to Tony, Tony's quite lucky. And I always take the piss out of him for this. Now, not so probably as much now because of the cost of living, but Tony lives in an apartment, and his neighbour down below, we elderly type lady, fucking has their heating on all year round, even in the summer. And Tony has a ceramic tile floor, so the heating's coming from her apartment up into Tony's, and Tony's fucking roasting all the time. Even when Tony doesn't have his heating on, you walk in sometimes and go, Jesus, Tony, turn your heating off. And he's like, I don't have my heating on, it's downstairs. But I must actually ask him, because I'm catching up with him today. I must say to him, Tony, does your neighbour down there still have your heating on all the time? Probably not as much now with the cost of living. But he's even found it difficult too as well, with the electricity and gas and stuff. Because I mean, he lives on his own. You know what I mean? And he's never hardly home. And when he is home, he's struggling a little bit. It's madness. It's absolutely madness now. But I've got a couple of emails here I want to go through, guys, with you. If you bear with me a second, I take another swig of water because my throat's starting to tickle again. I swear to you, I'll have a podcast one of these weeks Don will be doing without a cough or a sniffle. Honest to God, it's a nightmare. Right, I want to go through my emails here, guys, first of all, because there's a couple of you have got in touch with me about the cost of living. And I want to obviously, read out a couple. Again, I apologise for no interviews today, but as I said to you, I'm on a mission now to get those interviews done, because I want to sort of like get the public involved and stuff like that there. So, but here we go. Let's get into the first one here, guys. This is from a guy called Norman, and he is from Doncaster. Oh, we've got a listener in Doncaster. Very nice. Norman, how you doing there? Thank you for tuning in to the podcast. I do appreciate it. He is a retired man of 69 years of age. Ex-military. Thank you for your service. Him and his wife struggle on a regular basis because of the gas and electricity prices at all times. They are both retired and on state pension, and obviously their work pensions as well. Obviously he must be on an army pension from what he's reading here. But they do struggle on a daily basis with the cost of living in relation to food, electricity, gas, and especially diesel for his car. What's your thoughts on this, Matthew? Well, Norman, honestly, there's a guy there retired. Obviously he's been in the military and things like that. So, Norman, it's ridiculous. As I say, I've been touching on here. It's just shocking, the fact that even people like yourself who've served, obviously many years you've been in the services or whatever, and thanks again for your service. But it's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's just absolutely insane, the fact that people like yourself are even struggling. And I even hear people who are retired, legitimately retired, going out to get a wee part-time job to earn extra money just to keep the heating on, or just to keep the lights on. You know what I mean? And if I'm the kind of person that I'm always really careful with my money and stuff like that, and I've always been called someone who doesn't only spend when he wants to spend. But I've even found myself into wee things lately, but make sure that light switch is switched off at the socket when you go to bed at night, Brooke and Lewis. Make sure you get the wee switch up instead of just leaving the switch down. And that's crazy. But Norman, thanks for your email, appreciate it. It's baffling, the fact that yourself and your partner are struggling. And again, hopefully we'll come out of this the other side, this new Prime Minister, which is not looking very hopeful, to be quite honest with you. Them politicians at the minute I could talk about them all day as well. But Norman, thanks for your email. I hope yourself and your partner are well. I hope you get through this winter with okay. And thanks for listening. I do appreciate it. Thanks for the support. Right, let's get on to another one here. Okay, this one is from Philip, who is from Belfast. Nice local email this time. He says, I am a single guy of 35, currently living in Belfast. Ever since the heating and oil and petrol prices have went up, I have been unable to heat my home on a regular basis, unlike some. I have reduced putting my heating on from every day to a maximum of 2 to 3 times a week due to the cost of gas. I personally find the price of gas units is absolutely ridiculous. How can these companies get away with the charges and charge a normal single person like myself the prices that they charge? I feel sorry for families out there who have 2 or 3 children or more who struggle every day to keep their house warm for their kids and family. Also, I feel for the pensioners in this country who struggle to keep their heating on as it is, and also I feel sorry for the ones in the likes of care homes as well. Okay, bit of an interesting one there. Yes, I agree with you there when it comes to the pensioners, the old people. struggling in their homes. I feel so sorry for them. I really, really do. You're struggling yourself, where you said you had your heating on every day, and now you're only putting it on 2 or 3 times a week. You see, guys, this is the thing. People are trying to heat their homes and keep their... And, it's really, really, really baffling to hear from people who are struggling. And I've got another one here. The next email I'm going to read out here is from a person who actually is a business owner. In relation to that there, so I'm going to read that out in just a wee second. But yeah, the fact that you can't even put your heating on now, it's crazy. I mean, I've even reduced the putting the heating on as much as I can because of all this cost of living thing. It's just, I know I'm on the Unleashed podcast, but I don't want to get myself kicked off the air. And I don't want to offend the snowflakes. No, fuck the snowflakes. It's just, it needs to be sorted now. Simple as. They need to reduce the prices on these things and get it sorted, because people, the likes of Norman and his wife and Phil there as well, are struggling. And people who don't have an income, I don't watch your man fucking Stephen Nolan, but I saw one of his wee clips on Facebook the other day where he was at a woman's house in Belfast, and she said while he was there, the electricity went out, and he said to her, do you not get benefits or money to try and help pay your house? And I read through the comments, and a lot of people were making their view on it, and some of the things that I would sort of question too as well. If you're getting all these, she said she was disabled and stuff like that, so she was getting all these benefits, and would her house not be still heated if she was getting all this money coming in? Where's her money actually going to? Is it going to the food and electricity and gas? But so I always find the main things in the house you must always have in your house: heating, electricity, and food. Everything else is a luxury. So it is. But it was an interesting watch to watch that. But it's crazy, and the government need to get their finger to their ass and get it sorted, because people are going to eventually be at the point now where they're not going to be able to afford to live anywhere at all. And the wonder why people are cancelling things and not be able to pay their bills and getting themselves in so much fucking debt because of this new cost of living crisis. And people now are not even driving their cars as much anymore either because of the price of petrol and diesel. Anyway, thanks for your question. I hope you get yourself sorted. I do appreciate it. Now, as I said to you here, I have an interesting one here. So I have of business owners, which I wanted to obviously get in talking to today. To find out obviously about how it's affected their business with the cost of living. And again, it's not just about the gas and the electric and the petrol. It's even, as I said at the start of this subject, the stuff you even buy in the shops have went up in price. Food, essentials. Like I was out the other day with Lewis, we were doing what we had to call a toiletry shop. Like your shower gels, your shampoo and conditioner, your roll-ons, your sprays, my case of oxygen. I'm speaking. I'm one of them big oxygen masks for Lewis's farts. Good teenage boy. I was winding him up about that the other day. Do they sell more stronger air freshener because of the way you fart? He just looked at me and went, "You're not funny, Daddy." Cracking jokes. It's a joke. But anyway, yes. Shop owners. I've asked everybody to get in touch with me there, and I've got a shop owner here who got in touch with me. William and his partner own a business in Scotland. Now, they haven't actually said, for what I can see in the email here from Scotland, they run a wee convenience store. Well, he said convenient stroke local supermarket store, so it must be like one of them wee like corner shop things here. But William has said in the email here, and I'll read it out to you now. Hi Matthew, just came across your YouTube channel about 6 months ago. Now I've noticed you're doing a podcast which you're trying to speak to the public, which I feel is great. Myself and my wife own a corner shop, stroke mini mart, stroke shop, stroke supermarket, all these strokes here in Scotland. And ever since the cost of living crisis and COVID, our footfall for our shop has fell substantially through the floor. We've had to put our prices up even though we didn't want to, because of the cost of having to bring in stock and obviously sell out stuff to the general public. We just wanted to get our message across to the other business Owners and shop owners know the struggles it is to be a business owner right now during the cost of living crisis. Keep up the good work. Thanks for everything. And then I'll say his name at the end. So William. So William, thank you very much for your email. Appreciate it. I really should have put my glasses on today before I started reading emails today, honestly. Yeah, I would agree. The fact that shop owners are struggling now. People don't even want to go out as much now. For a lot of reasons. Because of the cost of things and obviously the COVID situation, which they're trying to ramp up again. Really? Anyway, another discussion for another day. But no, yeah, I would agree with you there, William. It's just the price of everything gone up. I mean, I've noticed it. Everybody else has noticed it. Even my mum. Now, my mum is one of these ones that just fucking... She spots everything. She's like a hawk. I mean, she goes and does her shopping in Iceland, in Newton Ards. Everybody doesn't know what Iceland is. It's a supermarket thing where you go and buy all your food. Frozen food, mostly. Hence why it's called Iceland, not the country. She would ring you up and go, wee thing I bought there, it was like normally like £1, now it's up to 1.55. Okay. This thing was normally 50p, it's now up to 1.25. This thing I normally buy me and your dad's £3, now up to £5. I'm like, okay, see, all these different things, even food. I mean, people are panic buying because they think, oh Christ, the food's going to go up through the roof and everything is going to be extortionate. I even saw a post on Facebook there recently, someone saying, oh, we got to go out and panic buy like we did during COVID because the prices of food are going to be so much high, it's going to be ridiculous and all that. Remember all that crap during COVID where people were running out buying loads of toilet rolls and pastas and painkillers and flip me. I mean, I look back at that and just laugh. So I do. It was just madness. And again, it was all down to what the news were saying. Excuse me. But again, being a shop owner, like William, in Scotland, I feel sorry for, not so much the big chain supermarkets, I feel sorry for the likes of him with his small store, and for people who have their own wee small business. I mean, you think about it, guys, how many businesses have shut down in the last 2 years because of COVID and because of the cost of living. When you think about it, it's worrying. And when you walk down the main street of the town that I live in, like a town that used to be thriving with big business names is now a ghost town. And all it has is charity shops, coffee shops, and maybe a bank or two if they're lucky. The shops are ridiculous now. The amount of stores that have shut because of the cost of living. Business owners going under. It's a very, again, this is where I wanted to try and get more of the public involved today in the podcast, which I'm going to try, as I said to you, I'm definitely doing no matter what. It's a mission. Because I want to discuss it more. I could talk about it here on the podcast myself as I'm doing right now, but again, I would rather have a discussion with a shop owner or a supermarket manager or a general member of the public who work, people like that. I want to get a perspective of everybody, and put it on the table and let everybody who listens to this podcast listen like Joe Blogs down the streets doing. Or hire shop owners getting on with their footfall. Now, I know obviously it's picked up a little bit more since COVID because everywhere was bloody shut. But, compared to, say, 10 years ago, even the price of a pint of milk or a price of a loaf of bread is just scandalous. And again, I feel like I'm going around in circles here. It's really, really, really concerning. What's it going to be like when the winter really kicks in? November, December and January when it's really cold. Are they going to put the prices up again? Or is the Prime Minister going to get her finger out of her ass and get something done about it? Because we need to get this sorted because people are out there legitimately struggling. Me personally, I am finding a little bit of vexes about it now. But again, I've said this before, I try to be careful with money. I only spend money when I need to. because I always like to have money there in case of an emergency. For example, when you have children. You know, give me an example. Say Lewis walked in from school today. Daddy, my school shoes are busted. I have the money in the bank to go out and get him a new pair of shoes. Brooke walks in today and goes, oh Dad, I fell today in school, or I caught my £65 blazer on the door handle and ripped my blazer. I need a new blazer. Right, come on, let's go get you another one. You know, or Lewis comes in and goes, Dad, I need money for school, or I need money for something. Or we go short on food, or, like we're talking about today, the electricity runs out, the gas runs out. You know what I mean? So, but again, in closing this subject, in all seriousness, this is my message to the people who are out there in charge. Get your finger out of your ass. The working class man and the families, the single parent families, all those people out there who are legitimately fucking struggling, you know, get it sorted, because people need this sorted now. Because it will get to the point where people, like that lady I spoke to the other day, won't put their heating on and will freeze this winter. You know, and then they're talking about this winter, about this twin pandemic with the flu and COVID. Well, people are going to get legitimately sick if they don't have their fucking heating on. And they're going to be cold and they can't afford their heating. So they're going to get sick, and then you're going to turn around and tell them they have fucking COVID when they don't. Know what I mean? It's just, it's ridiculous. And it needs to be sorted now for the likes of, you know, Norman, I read his email out there. You know, William, the shop owner. Those people, like the guy owns a shop in Scotland, works his ass off probably. Never met the guy for Adam, but he has a store. Him and his wife. And I'm sure they're struggling. That's their bread and butter. That's their living. You know what I mean? And these politicians are out there going, well, the thing is, we got to tax this and tax that, and let's just sit for an hour, 4 weeks, and talk shite on TV, on Parliament, and as long as I get my vote and I get my hundreds of thousands of pounds every year, I don't really care about you guys. I don't really care. It doesn't affect me. Well, it affects us, the people. Get it sorted. It needs to be fucking sorted, because if it doesn't get sorted before it gets too late, where people are going to freeze to fucking death, or people are going to get sick, and then you're going to blame it on fucking COVID. So get it sorted, get the finger out, and get this whole cost of living crisis sorted. Because, you know, the higher wigs, I call them, the people who have all the money, it's not affecting them. But Joe Blogs, who works like myself, or people who say work 9 to 5 on a building site or a shop, people who work in a supermarket, people who work in a care home, you know, elderly people living on their own, freezing their ass off, scared to put the heating on because they can't afford it. Get it sorted. Now, there's a couple of things I wanted to ask you before I head down the road today. Now, have you not noticed I haven't sworn much today on the Unleashed podcast? Yeah, one of the snowflakes are going mad as they're listening to me. Probably are. Segments. I was wanting to bring segments into the podcast every week. And I'm looking to pick your brain as the listener. I want to hear your opinions of little segments that we should bring into the podcast every week. Now, there's one I'm going to be bringing back starting next week here on the Unleashed podcast, which is going to be called Jackass of the Week. Jackass of the Week is going to be a Blue Army podcast award for someone who is a complete and total fucking jackass. Whether it be someone who, I don't know, say it's a local not even local celebrity, just celebrity in general, politician, TV star, footballer, sports personality, anybody who you think of will be awarded the Jackass of the Week award. So that I used to do this thing years ago on when I was on local radio. I used to do a local podcast stroke radio show where every week we announced a Jackass of the Week, which was a very, very popular segment on the podcast stroke radio show, because we were on the radio as well at the time. People used to, give us a couple of suggestions, and then we would look through obviously all the news and the media and find out things that was going on in the world, and then we finally picked out an official Jackass of the Week. So that'll be coming next week to the podcast, which I could have named one fucking today, but I'm not going to. So Jackass of the Week is coming next week. So any segments you'd like us to talk about, maybe a top 10 of something, or I don't know, the personality of the week or something, or whatever segments you can think of, drop me an email, moorarmypodcast@yahoo.com, or contact me on social media. Official Matthew Moore on Instagram and Moore Army YouTube on Facebook. Let me know any suggestions you think we should bring on to the show. It'd be something, bit of fun, and what I might do as well is I'll drop it out on my social media accounts as well every week, where we'll give you like a wee poll where you can do voting for maybe the Jackass of the Week, or something that you can get involved as well, because this podcast is for you, the listener. It's not just for me, it's for the listener. And again, before I hit the record button today, I did feel really, really bad, the fact that I couldn't bring what I promised to you for Thursday, so today's podcast, which has really fucking pissed me off. I sat down today there with my bottle of water, and I sat down to push record, and I thought, something, I feel like a complete ass. I should have not said these people. I'm giving them a broken promise already, and I feel really bad for it, but the loopholes you got to jump through now before you can do things. But again, I will get those interviews, I promise you. But yes, little segments, Jackass of the Week or something like that, which is obviously coming back next week. But something, you know what I mean? And I would like to get more people involved in the podcast. So contact me, for the love of Pete. Only snowflakes are not welcome, and people who are easily offended. moorarmypodcast@yahoo.com. Send me an email. Oh dear, it's like sticking at your fishing rod in the pond and you're reeling them in. Or just reeling the trolls in. It's fun times. But yeah, well, what am I up to this week, guys? I've got quite a busy weekend ahead of me. I've got we were supposed to go to hockey on Saturday night, but we're not going to go. Personal reasons. I don't want to go to hockey on Saturday night because I have Saturday's a bit of a personal day for me. A couple of wee things going on, and I'm really not in the mood. I'm going to go to football on Saturday afternoon, but I don't think I'm going to go to ice hockey on Saturday night. So I know I wasn't there last week either, but it's just Saturday's a pretty bad day for me, and I'm just going to stay away and just sort of come home from football on Saturday night and maybe just get an early night or something like that. But yeah, we've got football on Saturday. We're home in Belfast, thank God. We're home again, which is great. Tonight, the desk is being recorded. Tony's coming around tonight for a few beers. We're going to sit out tonight and have a few beers, have a chat. Now, you asked me, was it last week, the week before, you asked me what was my go-to alcoholic drink. So tonight I will be drinking some cold beer and maybe a few sambucas. Yes. Tony, no doubt, will probably be drinking his favourite drink, which the smell of it makes me sick. It's called Desperados, which is a tequila beer. I don't mind tequila, but I prefer my tequila cold. And then you see these people drinking tequila and then they put salt and lemon and all that crap. I just drink the fucking drink. Give me the drink, I'll drink the drink. I'm not doing all that salt and lemon bullshit. Give me the drink and let me fucking drink it. You know what I mean? Give me the beer, cold beer, down the hatch. So tonight, Tony and I are going to be having a few beers, chilling out, bit of man time. We were supposed to go out last week, as I said to you. Unfortunately, I couldn't go, so we're going to have a catch-up tonight. And I'm glad I finally got my fucking kitchen finished as well. I've got my kitchen finished this week, guys. Thank the Lord. New floor coming hopefully next week. And then it's the kitchen done. Then I'm going to move myself into the living room. I'm going to get the living room all freshened up for Christmas. And then eventually work my way upstairs to the teenagers' room, which sometimes can smell like an ass, especially Lewis's room. Anybody out there who has teenage kids, when you go into the room, now, don't get me wrong, they keep their rooms clean, but it's just that teenage sort of, you walk into Brooks' room and all you can smell is perfume and makeup and whatever else she has in there. And then you walk into Lewis's room and all you can smell is boy and teenage stank, and it's like, open your fucking window. And he's like, okay, Dad. But yes, we're going to hit those bedrooms before Christmas as well. Hopefully get them a fresh coat of paint, get everything all sort of got it out and stuff like that there. So this is the joys of having a home, you know. But I'm glad I have that kitchen finished, because that kitchen was a fucking nightmare to get painted. As much as I love my home, it's a brand new home, but the walls are a nightmare. Even hanging the likes of a curtain pole or a picture, the walls are like fucking paper. As soon as you hit it with a drill, it crumbles. Like, I had a guy out there recently who came out and painted my hall stairs and lantern and done wallpaper on one of the walls too. And I was trying to have a pole across my door where I could put like one of them curtain things across my front door to keep the heating in and obviously a bit more privacy. And it fell off the wall because the walls are like paper. And he goes to me, Matthew, what the hell happened to your wall? And I'm like, mate, listen, when I drilled a hole in that wall, it stayed for a while, and one day I just pulled the curtain across gently and the thing fell out of the fucking wall. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, these walls are like paper. Even putting a nail in the wall to hang a picture. It's like the house that Jack built. Honestly, it annoys me sometimes. It really, really does. But yes, I'm going to have a few beers tonight with Tony, which I'm looking forward to, and maybe a couple of wee samburgers to wash it down the hatch as well. Like, so actually, one of you guys contacted me on Instagram about that. 1 second. I haven't got time now to pull the Instagram. I always remember reading the message saying he doesn't know how I drink Instagram. I drink sambuca, heart of a lion. Sambuca doesn't bother me. I know people out there who love tequila, vodka, whiskey, gin, women who love pink gin. I can name 3 or 4, but I'm not going to. You know who you are. You know, Malibu. You know, all these different drinks. But I love sambuca. Warms the old cockles on a cold night. Like today. Because you haven't got your heating on because you're fucking freezing your ass off because of the cost of living crisis. Did you like that? But no, and then next week's going to be a pretty busy one too as well, guys. God almighty, next week's going to be mental for me, so it is. And I'm trying to squeeze the podcast in between them as well. So yeah, I'm going to be pretty busy. I'm trying to keep myself busy. And then Sunday, Sunday's a big day for Lewis and I, because Liverpool are playing Man City on Sunday. That is going to be a great day. Hopefully we get a result. Unlike Arsenal last week where they embarrassed us. But 1-7-1 last night. So the tails will be up going into that game. Apart from that big clampet, Holland, who seems to be scoring for fun. But whenever we played him in the Community Shield, he didn't play too well. Here's hoping it's the same on Sunday. But none the way we're playing at the minute. City will probably rip us a new asshole. Like they did to Manchester United a few weeks ago. Like 2 or 3-0 at half time probably. But I'm feeling confident. I'm going to be into the game on Sunday with Lewis, watching it, going, right, let's get a result. Even I would take a draw. So I would really, really take a draw. I really would. But again, it's just the way it's been going. So it has. So insane. Well, guys, I'm going to go and end this podcast for today. I want to give a wee shout out to friends of mine as well. The ASAP or ASAP podcast. Check them out, guys. They're very, very good. Very, very funny. No snowflakes welcome to that podcast either. They do swear quite a lot. You think I swear a lot? You listen to those boys. They're available on Apple Music, Spotify, and also YouTube as well. ASAP podcast or ASAP podcast they're called. But anyway, I want to go, guys, and get myself prepared for tonight's activities with Tony. Guys, don't forget to get in touch with me again. MirrorArmyPodcast at yahoo.com in relation to your cost of living crisis stories. Obviously, anything else you want to talk about on the show. Anything at all in relation, just give me a shout and we'll have a wee chat with you. Again, once again, I want to apologise. I know I shouldn't be apologising, but I'll apologise once again because I like to be honest with my listeners about the interviews this week. I will definitely have interviews for you for next week, 100%, whether it be Tuesday's podcast or Thursday. I will get you something, so I will. Because at the end of the day, guys, this podcast is for the listeners and is obviously for the followers of the Mirror Army, which again means a lot to us. Excuse me. And again, thank you for the support to get us up those rankings on Apple Music. Just can't believe it. After the first 30 days of being on the air, we're up there. So thank you very much for your love and support. I do appreciate it. It means a lot to us. I just can't believe it. Yes, and there will be more vlogs coming out in the channel over the next few days. Probably starting from Friday. So yes, the vlogs will be coming back, guys. I'll have one Friday, Saturday, Sunday as well, and obviously the live reaction video for Sunday for the Mirror Army YouTube channel as well. Subscribe to all the necessary YouTube channels, including this one you're listening to the podcast right here, right now. If you would, I appreciate it. But anyway, I'm going to go and prepare my liver for a hammering tonight with Tony. I'm only kidding. I'm going to go and have a few beers, a few sambucas, chill out, and enjoy my weekend ahead. So guys, hope you all had a great week yourselves. Hope you all have a great weekend. I apologise for the lack of content for this podcast, but again, we're still putting one out there, and we're still communicating with you guys, because if it wasn't for you, we would not be existing. So, until Tuesday's podcast, have a great weekend, and I will try and keep Tony under control as much as I can. I'll give you a story about that on Tuesday, how it went. It's probably going to be whenever me and him get together, guys, go and watch the YouTube channel. Sometimes whenever we go out, we get a little bit crazy, so it's going to be fun. So it is. Guys, once again, thanks for your support. Love you all, appreciate it. And until the next one, guys, have a great weekend, and I'll see you back here on Tuesday. Hopefully, if I can get hold of this manager with a few interviews about this cost of living crisis. Keep those questions coming in. Thanks for the support, guys. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you back here on Tuesday.
Thank you.